top solo agents, you could be pushing 600, 800, $1 million a year as a top solo agent in the commercial space, right? I mean, not crazy price points, but just knowing how to negotiate great compensation, knowing when great deals are in front of you, and knowing how to make sure you can capitalize on the opportunities. Now, if you want to make over $1 million a year, you will need to build a team. Period. End of story. You will need to build an organization of people, lead them in the right direction, build processes, hire staff to help you build the organization. But for many of you here, I wanted to, at least just give you the idea, like, look, every single one of you guys can be on a team or by yourself as a solo agent, or again, an agent on a team who has the support, because you're either going to pay for the support yourself, or you're going to hire your own assistant, or you're going to have assistants provided for you to do all the little stuff. But as an individual agent, no team, that underneath you, junior agents, whatever you want to call it, every single one of you here has the ability to make over $500,000 a year. Every single one of you. And they dial that in, which is what I wanted to talk about, a couple things here. One of which is your time in lead gen activity. That specific action, if it's less than 4 hours a day, specifically on the phone, working leads, and I'm not just saying cold calling, I'm calling sphere of influence, calling past clients, calling professional relationships and trying to ask for referrals. If you are working less than 4 hours a day in the lead generation activity side of the business, you are going to struggle to earn several six figures per year. Now, if you're already saying that you're spending more than 4 hours a day, or roughly 4 hours a day on the lead generation activity side of the business, and you're not there yet, well, then there's only a few reasons why that is the case. One, your scripting is not where you need it to be. Your scripting is not up to par. Again, if you need a script book, we have the script book for you. I literally say the same exact lines. Now, the difference also between someone who's practiced the script I guess over 1 million times at this point, someone like myself who's done it so many times I could recite it in my sleep, versus an average agent who's never read the script before, right? Or maybe has read through it maybe a handful of times and maybe kind of knows it, right? The difference is the speed in which you can respond appropriately and how you respond in real time to people. So when someone says to you, "Hey, Sajan, I'm not interested in selling my property. Thanks for calling." Sajan's been crushing it on the phones, where he knows because he's so well practiced, to respond saying, "I can completely respect you don't want to sell the property. Just curious, if we were able to bring another opportunity similar to the property you own here at 123 Main Street, would you be totally against buying another property?" Immediately flipping it into a buyer conversation and being casual and flowy with the conversation, while many brokers just hang the up on the phone. You get someone who doesn't want to sell. Guys, most people don't want to sell their property, right? Like, that is the case, right? The vast majority of people do not want to sell. And if they do want to sell, they'll say something like, "Yeah, if you gave me a ridiculous number for it, sure. Or if you gave me a crazy number for it, sure." Keep in mind, how long are you spending on the phone, or how long are you spending in a lead generation activity on a regular basis? By the way, 5 days minimum a week. How well practiced are you? What is your conversion rate? Conversion. Now, what I mean by conversion is when you get somebody on the phone, what is the percentage rate of that individual turning from a contact to a lead? Contact to a lead, which means you spoke to somebody and now they turn into a lead, right? That means they want to sell their property and they've given you some positive feedback about doing so. Do you know that number? And how do you increase that number? That increase not only comes from practicing your scripts, but also understanding what kind of lead list are you calling. Some of you guys are trying to prospect the largest retail buildings and the largest industrial buildings in the country, largest multifamily buildings in the country. You're trying to prospect 2, 3, 4, 500 unit apartment buildings. You're trying to prospect 200,000 square foot shopping centers. You're trying to prospect 150,000 square foot warehouses, and you're getting through, you have an immense amount of gatekeepers. Who has dealt with a gatekeeper before? Who here has also spoken with mom and pop owners who are like ready to retire? Who would you rather speak with on a very regular basis? Mom and pops. Why though? This is the most important thing. Why would you rather speak to them?
They're the decision maker.
They're the decision maker. Great answer. I agree. What else?
A little less sophisticated sometimes.
Maybe less sophisticated. I agree. What else? Typically when you're calling a much larger organization, a large percentage of the time, right, they're in the business of buying assets, not in the business of selling. They own multiple properties. They own 10, 20, 50, 100 properties, right? When you're calling these larger organizations, when you're calling a mom and pop, they own one building. They don't occupy it most of the time, right? It's just an investment maybe that was handed down to them or something they bought from 40 years ago. So what I typically will always say is a newer agent should be spending vast majorities of their time when it comes to lead gen, maybe 1 day a week at absolutely most on the big stuff. If you want to go freaking whale hunting, I'm not telling you don't. I'm saying be cautious of how much time you spent whale hunting. I'm going to take every single fish in the sea while you're trying to hunt whales. So my philosophy is, hey, I want to be targeting the mom and pop owners in each marketplace, the individuals who have been owning these assets for 10, 20, 30, 40 years. They own 1 or 2 buildings at most. They do not occupy this building. This is beat to shit. The asset has not been taken care of. I want the stuff where people have the highest likelihood of selling for a fair and reasonable price. And by the way, willing and able to sell at a fair and reasonable price today. Not 6 months from now, 12 months from now, 5 years from now. I would need them today. I don't know about you, but I like getting paid every week or every other day. I mean, I'm very content with that. Who here would like to get paid more regularly? Is it just me? Yeah, we all would. Stop targeting the biggest fucking whales in the ocean. Stop doing it. Because the stuff that trades fast, the stuff that's, moving like this and you can get deals under contract right away, deals where you have the most opportunity, like buyer-wise, like finding the most amount of buyers in a marketplace, comes from the mom and pop properties. I'm not telling you, by the way, to sell a bunch of $300,000 commercial buildings. That is not what the fuck I'm saying at all. I'm saying there is a price range in every market where any of you here, okay, can target, whether it's like 800 grand to 10 million bucks, where you can start churning these deals all day long. It's like the really small multifamilies where you have like people who are just super motivated and you can sell them at great prices all day long. I just like to try to find that niche right now in the commercial world where, yeah, sure, every quarter, we have a $20 million deal that hopefully is closing in December. Yeah, sure, we'll do some larger deals too. I'm not saying don't do it, but it is not the vast majority of my business on purpose, because the larger asset size you go, not only the more sophisticated they are, okay, but number 2, the amount of buyers in the pool go down. Number 3, the odds of you getting a 6% commission on a $20 million deal is very slim. They're typically going to fight you substantially harder on commissions the larger the deal size you go. So all of a sudden, think about it. You start having to do, let's just take a $20 million deal as an example. Everyone here would love to sell a $20 million deal tomorrow. However, what I want to share with you as an example, though, is let me give you an example of this deal. On a $20 million deal, we're only going to get paid 1%, okay? 1% commission on 20 million. I think it's like actually 21.45 million or something like that. But anyways, I'm just using 20 million as an example. You get paid 1% commission on 20 million. That's 200,000 bucks. Okay, not complaining about 200 grand, but as Will was just talking about on a deal that he's working on right now, he's working on a deal where the seller's willing to pay him 6% commission on 3 million, which is 180 grand. You know how much easier it is to sell a $3 million deal or a $3.5 million deal than it is to sell a $21 million deal? Substantially. You could burn and churn $3 to $4 million deals all day long and make 200K a pop. Burn and churn the $3 to $4 million deal product, right? And not have to deal with all the nonsense of the much larger organizations that move at a snail's pace when you could be burning and churning these deals all freaking day long. So I'm trying to tell you guys, like, listen, even if you were to do and I say this a lot, $2 million deal, 6% commission is 120,000 bucks. Sell one $2 million deal a month. That's 120 grand a month. $1.44 million a year. Every single one of you, I'm sure, would be thrilled with $1 million net year after even paying taxes. And all you have to do is sell a $2 million deal at 6% commission, right? Which, by the way, we do all day long. We have several in contract. A large part of our business is like the 2 to 5 million range because we're able to get 5 and 6% commission all day long. So I wanted to just urge you guys, like, hey, a lot of these people that I was meeting, this guy comes on stage, he's like, yeah, I just got this $100 million listing. I'm like, you're not going to sell it, dude. I'm like, congratulations, you got a $100 million listing. But like, you understand, there's probably in any marketplace, I don't know, a half a dozen people maybe who would buy that deal. It's maybe 6 people, right? Or 6 organizations. And if those 6 think that it's overpriced, who else are you selling it to? Then they go like, oh, well, we're going to try to sell it for overseas people. Good luck. Because those properties don't trade that frequently. They just don't. I just wanted to, share that because like all these people are like so, I was sitting in the room listening to this panel, and this guy talks about this $100 million listing that he just got. By the way, this guy sells maybe $10 million worth of real estate a year, right? Maybe 20. at most, okay, in his best year of commercial real estate. Maybe he makes it, $500 to $1 million a year. He's not an idiot broker. But this guy gets $100 million listing, in the whole room of like 300 people was like, oh my goodness, like that's amazing, holy shit. And it's like, the guy's not going to sell it. You know how many deals come across my plate that are over $100 million? Several every month. Me and Chris have worked on several. Just me and Chris. So I'm like, guys, like I just want you to know, like those deals are like tough. Because all of a sudden, think about it like this. When you're dealing with $100 million deal, like think about it like this. When you have a deal that's $1 million, okay, and you offer the guy $900,000, they might take it. You know what I mean? You're 10% off, maybe he'll counter back at $950, and then the guy's gonna come up $50,000. Like, okay, maybe it's not that big of a deal, and then you can maybe wiggle in some commission. When you're working on $100 million transaction, like we've worked on several, guy comes in at 80 million. The guy feels like he's insulted, like you have never experienced before. It's like offering the guy 10 cents. It's like he's like, how dare you offer me 80 million for my $100 million deal? I'm like, dude, you're overpriced anyways. I think it's worth 85. You get the guy an offer, like a deal me and Chris were working on. We offered this guy 80 million. The guy wanted 110, maybe 105. We offered him 80 million from a very serious organization. Guy came down to 100 million. We got another buyer at 87 million, which was a fucking unbelievable offer, by the way. You think I should have taken it and run for the fucking hills? If that was my family, I'd be like, you guys would be dumb not to take it. And the guy was just like, look, the best number we could do is 100 million. I'm like, you're like, what the it makes no sense. It's like it's not even a well thought out price point for the portfolio. So I'm like, guys, so my point is, they feel so much more insulted even when you're basically just the same percentage ratios off, but that $13 million is $13 million. So it's like they're not going to just throw that by the wayside. When you're talking about 130 grand, sometimes buyers and sellers are more willing to bite a bullet on 40K here, 60K here. All of a sudden you have a deal taken. Just keep in mind that like it's not, I don't need to go whale hunting. I look at it like every year, if I end up closing one deal for 50 million bucks or 20 million bucks or 100 million bucks, great. Like I'm not in that business. If it comes along, great. I'm not trying to hunt those deals all day long. I want the stuff that burns and churns like no tomorrow. That's the stuff I want to work on.